All right, we got some breaking news from Ian Rappaport. We've been talking about the run game, the Texans' inability to run the ball, the potential of that happening. Now we get the confirmation from Ian Rappaport, which we kind of feared, that Joe Mixon, who's on the non-football injury list, he's expected to be out for an extended period of time. He will be reevaluated close to the season to determine his availability. Look, I don't know what an extended period of time means. That could mean a lot of things. That could mean the whole preseason. That could mean maybe he starts out the regular season on pup. All I know is the Texans are pretty good at hiding injuries. And the fact that this is coming out, it kind of lets you know that there's a little bit of a problem. And the running the ball, I think, was going to be difficult regardless. And Joe Mixon's health was a big factor in that. Problem number one is the offensive line, the interior of the offensive line. Even in a perfect world, I don't know that this is the strength of the interior of the offensive line was going to be run blocking. And even last year with what Joe Mixon did, and the Texans were like right in the middle of the half of the league when it came to running the rock. Joe Mixon was turning chicken-ish into chicken salad a lot of the time. And I think it's possible that he may have had to do that to a certain point this season. But what's happened is the Mixon dependency didn't necessarily decrease with the running backs that you brought in and the questions on the offensive line. And he got older. He got to the age where there's a reason that a lot of teams, and I don't always agree with it, but there's a reason that a lot of teams don't get running back second contracts. Because when they get up in age, and Joe Mixon's at 28 years old right now, when they get up in age, like the wear and tear, it takes a toll on the body. It's a demanding position. And that's why you need multiple backs that can make plays. We've been talking about that for a long time. So problem one is the offensive line. Problem two is the running back depth. And now with Joe Mixon, and we've been talking about it all offseason. If you watch the locker room, if you watch SNL, we've talked about how Joe Mixon was in a boot. And we didn't think that Joe Mixon was going to start training camp. And now all of a sudden, Joe Mixon, we don't know if he's going to start the regular season. And here's the other element of this as well. I don't know how Joe Mixon's skill set translates to this system. I would assume that a player in the best case scenario and in the best state of health like Joe Mixon, I would assume that his skill set could translate to most offensive systems. But he's not going to get any field work in this system. And we talk about guys getting to know the system and all that. We've seen certain running backs have good years, 1 year, and then the next year they kind of fall off. And a lot of times we point to the system. This is a new system for Joe Mixon. He's not going to get any on-field work with it. And is he going to start the season out rusty? I don't anticipate him playing in the preseason. I saw Jonathan Alexander of the Houston Chronicle said that he doesn't anticipate that. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust. It might just be something, which I've been saying, that is not a strength of this team running the football. And the Mixon durability has been a big factor in that. Now we get the confirmation from Ian Rappaport that kind of adds to why I've been saying what I've been saying. Joe Mixon, it's worse than anticipated. I know the initial report, I think Aaron Wilson said not believed to be anything serious. Well, I think it's pretty serious if Joe Mixon misses the entire preseason and all of training camp in a new offensive system at the age of 28, coming off a season where he missed some games last year at a position where the Texans really didn't add a ton of depth. And here's the other thing about it. Nick Chubb, we'll see what happens when they put the pads on. A lot of people in Cleveland thought that maybe just the ship had sailed and he didn't look good last year. He hasn't really looked that explosive early on in camp. And even if Nick Chubb is able to be a contributor, he's not going to be able to fill the void left by Joe Mixon. I don't know how Nick Caley adjusts. It'll be interesting to see, but I think we got to lean on the side of, I don't want to say panic, but I think it's a little bit concerning, and it was kind of concerning before this was confirmed. So who knows what happens? We'll see. The Texans had a hell of a practice on Saturday. The pads will come on Monday. And you got to think they're going to be looking at the running back market, which is just kind of stripped thin right now. Maybe some names that we can throw out there, but who knows? Be sure to subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. That run game Mm. Mm.